I mean, this is just a men's with hats episode. Colby, where's your hat from? What's the R&R for?
It's River Run. It's a ATV part. It's the cleanest hat I
Gotcha.
got.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Sweet. Well, I'm gonna send you. I'll send you one of these local energy hats after. And I don't know if you're a hot sauce guy, but
Oh
everyone
yeah,
gets a gift that comes on. So, all right,
He
cool.
says that. I still haven't seen mine yet.
You know what, Wade? I owe you one. I don't even know where you live, man. I know you're in Oklahoma somewhere, but
Tulsa.
yeah. Well, okay. That's a
you're
big.
not too far at all. You're a couple hour drive.
That's right.
Today we've got Colby from Midland, Texas, chatting with us about Frac. So he had some comments on our videos, and they were actually really educational. So DM'd him and I said, "Hey, could you come on and talk with me and Wade's?" I know we talked a little bit ahead of time just about the different types of frac plugs, and I think that's where Colby spent most of his career.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think first off, I always like to get to know somebody. So, Colby, how long you been in the oil field? Where'd you start? What all have you been doing?
So I started probably 4, 5, 6 years ago, something like that. Worked my way up pretty quickly. First ever oilfield job was work over rig in a little small town of Graham, Texas. Then moved up to pump down, and from pump down went into frac plugs and just took off.
I gotcha. And so what's your position like? I mean, I think before we talked, you were saying field operations manager. What does that kind of look like on a daily basis? Are you spending most of your time on location, or are you coordinating jobs? Like, what's that look like?
Everybody likes to sit in the office and kind of coordinate. I'd rather be in the field, checking on my guys, checking on my product, checking on, wireline crews, company men, make sure everything's running smoothly. Everybody's liking it. There ain't no complaint. So I do coordinate with everybody, figure out where everybody's going, what's going here, what's going there. But I like to also go out and show my face and make sure that my guys know that I'm not just somebody that's going to sit in the office and boss everybody around.
I gotcha. So a lot more hands-on.
Yes, sir.
You're kind of focused, or you've been focused on the frac side, right? Running
Yes, sir.
bridge plugs or frac plugs and all that stuff. So let's just start out with a basic question. So what's the difference between a frac plug and a bridge plug?
Main difference is that the frac plug, you're going to go throughout all your stages throughout the well. Your bridge plug is going to be either your toe or your heel of your well. So you're either your top or your bottom. And it's going to be your hardest setting and hardest pressure plug that you can be able to pressure up on, or to like seal off the well completely, and you won't have nothing that will come by.
Are they rated differently? Are your bridge plugs
So
rated
they
higher?
are rated differently. Most of them would be rated, about a 5,000 pound pressure difference ish. So, I mean, that's an extra 5,000 pounds you can put on top of a plug. That's a
Okay.
pretty good difference.
And now bridge plugs also hold from both directions, right? Where mainly don't frac
Yes, sir.
plugs just kind of hold pressure from the top.
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. Well, and that's why it makes sense, right? You wouldn't want to put a frac plug at the top of your well in case you got a lot of pressure below it.
Yes, sir. So we use the bridge plugs. Like if you've done a toe prep, we'll put, one or two bridge plugs down at the bottom. And then you got to think about all the pressure you got coming down on the top of it. So it's got to be able to hold that way. And then also all the pressure coming back up whenever you finish your well, and you got to be able to seal that off.
I gotcha. All right. Now I've also seen some stuff. I mean, there's some plugs out there, specifically frac plugs, right? That don't use like a ball pump down. They just, they're. I don't understand. I haven't really seen a lot of that. How's that work?
So are you talking about like the ball in place plugs?
Well, yes.
Okay. So I haven't really figured out the concept behind that, because all of our plugs were ball in place. But what only thing that I can see is mostly that it is going to be just a design way. It's whether you can figure out how to design your plug to be able to do the ball in place.
Okay. So just so I make sure I'm on the same page, is ball in place the ones where you don't have to do a pump down a ball after you're done with your stage?
So the ball in place is like, so when you go down, set your plug, your ball's going down with your plug. Like it ain't moving until so the way that we did it, it was anywhere around about 20 to 28 barrels a minute on frac would seat your ball. So you have little shear screws on the side, and then that flow would shear it and not the pressure.
Okay. So you'd pump it down at a lower rate, and then whenever you wanted to shear that
No,
pin
so
or what?
your adapter kit would cover your ball, and
Okay.
so it won't go nowhere. You can pump down whatever you want, and
Okay.
once it breaks off, then that flow would break it off or break the shear pins and then set it.
Okay. Huh.
Hmm.
All right. I still feel like I have to see something. I'm a very visual person, so being able to see that would
If
definitely
you
be
ever come
helpful.
out here, I'll show you.
When you're talking about designing a plug, right? What does that mean?
So everybody has a plug that looks dang near the same. I mean, they're not far from being different besides just a little tweaks in them. But I mean, you're going to have your slips set just perfectly to hold X amount of pressure behind them. You can do just little changes like a pump down ring. So a pump down ring is going to be a little rubber piece on the very bottom that when you start putting water on it, it opens up like a upside down umbrella and it flies down the hole. It helps push the plug down and saves water, saves time, and just a bunch of other stuff. But it's just you got to be able to have those just specifically set in the right place for it to work. Because I mean, if they're a thousandths off, it could just completely malfunction.
So when you're figuring out the size for that, is that, if it's the difference of a thousandth, right? How are you able to determine what that size is?
So most of the time you can find like Conoco, I know has it. I'm pretty sure Exxon has like test wells like in Houston and wherever the crap Exxon is
Mhm.
that you
Everywhere.
can go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you can go in and like once you design your plug, you can go in and set it and see and kind of figure out what's doing what. And so you can be able to measure off of that, move it around and do whatever you need to do on that end.
Okay. And then another thing that I kind of mentally noted was you talking about toe preps. What is toe prep, and how does that have to do with frac?
So a toe prep is where you're going to go down to the very bottom. So technically it will be your first stage of your well. So you go all the way down to your bottom. You're going to set your bridge plug, and then you're going to set your guns, your explosive devices. Put your perfs in the well, and then you're going to come out and log the whole well. So most of them will have like an OD ring on the gun string, or whatever, and they just log out the whole entire section to make sure there ain't no debris in there. There ain't no over tightened collars that could get in the way or whatever. So it's just pretty much make sure your whole entire well is just clear and clean.
When you're doing your toe prep and everything, I mean, are you doing a lot of the times? Are you using toe sleeves and stuff? Are you running in on coil and doing that? What's been your
No, it's
experience?
just regular wireline truck.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
One of the questions that one of the topics that Peter and I talked about was dissolvable frac plugs.
I remember that video.
Where do you fall on that? Hey, and I'll tell you,
Well, I
everybody
don't like
falls on a different side, right?
I don't like them. I would, if I could, I choose to get rid of them all. They're just a lot more one inconsistent, two just a lot more pain in the neck just to put up with, and it's just
Right.
I don't
So
see
when you
them
say
working as good.
inconsistent, when
Yeah,
you say inconsistent, are you talking about setting them or what? Or holding?
not really setting them on the dissolving end. Like I saw somebody commented, or Peter was talking about where somebody commented was like 1 in every 20 would still be there. That is very true. Like that's if
Mhm.
you're lucky. If there's 1 in every 20s, that's you get pure luck on that one. I've seen it to where there's three or four every 20, and it's just they're inconsistent. I don't like them. I wish they'd get rid of them, but some companies like them for some reason.
Right. I gotcha. And some people commented, I mean, you can see it on some of it. Like, if you're on some of these extended laterals and you can't get coil out that far, they run those out there just because they physically can't reach it and they don't want to run stick pipe. So,
Yeah,
but like you're saying too, I mean, with a failure rate, higher than, man, your failure rate's higher than 2 or 3%. You probably got a couple of plugs out there that are, you spend a lot of money drilling,
oh
fracking,
yeah,
everything that well for it to not, be fully producing. So, all right,
yeah.
gotcha.
I wish they'd go away.
I don't have tons of experience with them. I mean, like I said, I'm primarily on the drilling side, but being around a lot of frac guys, I think they share your opinions.
The other thing that I would note too is like there seem to be different locations where frac plugs, dissolvables were preferred over not, right? Like a lot of New Mexico seem to be in favor of them. Probably, I don't know if the well conditions are different. I don't know if you've probably done some work in New Mexico and maybe there's a little bit of a difference in the area.
I mean, there's a little bit of a difference, but not really. It's just more off the operator on what they're doing and how the drilling rig did the well. Something messed up down there, and it's kind of hard to get coil in there, like Wade said, or it throws in a lot of variables.
And like you're
Good,
saying
good
too, I
to know.
mean, these things are they dissolve based off of like temperature, salinity, all that different stuff. And so, if your formation water just super high chlorides, or you're flowing back tons and all that, you probably got it with a higher temperature. It's probably more likely to dissolve them. But even then, if they're only partially dissolving, you're trying to flow them back out. It hits one that's not very well dissolved. You start plugging everything up. There's definitely there can be a cascading problems chasing you out.
Yeah.
If you want to get into the industry that you're in and in your particular role, and you've been doing this for a while, how would you recommend someone to get into it and where should they start?
A big thing is go on Indeed and look up oil and gas, entry level jobs or something like that. Just make sure you put in entry level. That always works. Or start driving down Business 20 in Midland and start knocking doors. You will see these signs left and right, hiring now, and that is a good way to get in.
Somebody called, no showed that morning, right?
Oh, 100%. Somebody no called, no showed that morning, and they replace hands quicker than I've ever seen before. So once you get in, make sure you get in good, and don't be don't don't come in act like you know anything. Come in act like you know nothing, and you will succeed in this industry.
When I started in 2006, I would like, I mean, shale revolution was kind of really just getting going. And man, I tell you, like they were hiring anybody with a pulse. And I
Oh
just kind
yeah.
of walked in there just like you're saying and said, well, I got one of those, but I think a little bit of, if I'm reading into what you're saying too, when you start at entry level, you've got to be willing to do a lot of things that other people don't want to do, either
I
the,
mean, it's just like the drilling rigs. I mean, the same thing on the frac end. I mean, y'all's green hats do the same job our green hats do too. I mean, they're going to do the jobs that they don't want to do, but they're going to have to do.
I got lucky. I was MWD, so it was a little bit, MWD. So Peter, if you didn't know, MWD stands for measurement while drilling, but the
Mhm.
real MWDs know it stands for movie watching dude, because it's just a lot of being in your trailer and watching computer screens and all that stuff.
That's how pump down is. I mean, you sit there, you might touch a couple buttons a little bit, and you're sitting there watching movies for the rest of the night.
Yep, yep.
What's the longest shift you pulled, Colby?
3 days.
Okay. Just that, and that's just constant, like checking stuff, making sure things are getting done, not missing anything.
Yeah,
You're going.
that was while I was still kind of moving up. I hadn't fully moved out or moved all the way up yet, and I mean it was blowing and a going. I mean nonstop.
I do have a question for you. And maybe we'll ramble a little bit, so maybe we can edit it a bit better. But I follow a lot of different oil and gas accounts on Twitter.
Mhm.
A lot of those accounts, of course, are either based out of Midland or have a very close eye on Midland. And what they've been talking about, it seems like 6 or 7 years ago. I mean, everybody from Oklahoma was moving to Midland because that's where the work was, and
Yeah.
where the industry was really just feeding into there, and kind of, what I'd say is taken from everywhere else. I mean, we lost rigs and hands and everybody down to the area. It seems like over the past year or two now, whenever I say things slow down, I mean, it's still extremely busy, maybe the busiest place in the country. I'm sure it is. But it seems like, I see some people posting about declining well results and all this different stuff. What's the mood out there right now? I mean, is it actually slowing down, or does it feel like it's just going as fast as ever right now?
No, it's definitely slowing down. H&P stacked 3 rigs the other day that I know of, and I got some connects on H&P, so I kind of keep up with what their rigs are doing and kind of base the market off of that. But I don't know about everybody else, but I'm pretty sure if H&P stacking, everybody else is falling in right behind them. What's the market doing right now? Because I know, Wade, you kind of follow the market a little more.
Oil got down into the 50s, which of course, scares everybody. I mean, nobody's really excited about that except for, well, the politicians seem to be, because it's going to help the economy quite a bit. Cheap energy is going to help investment, but it's not good for all of us working in the industry, right? And so, it's come back up. I think it's in the. I haven't seen the latest. I think it's in the high
It's at,
60s right now.
it's at 68 right now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
still not great. Probably not enough to get anybody really excited, but whenever you've been looking at 50s for a while, I mean, it's at least hope. The thing that's been interesting to me is natural gas has kind of been hovering around that $3 mark and staying above there.
Mhm.
In Oklahoma, we were a natural gas basin very heavily until they recently found the Cherokee Shale. The Cherokee's, giving everybody some hope for some oil, but man, whenever Midland was really ramping up, Oklahoma was just dying because natural gas prices here were so low. But lately, it's actually stabilized a little bit, and so there's activity has kind of plateaued and stayed pretty level for right now, despite that drop in oil. So we're seeing some rigs start falling off, but nothing too significant yet. Everybody always complains about the well that drilling left them, right? So what are
Oh,
some of the biggest complaints you've got, or what are the biggest complaints you hear from others maybe about what's going on downhole?
mostly either leaving stuff downhole or over tightening collars where they're squeezing in on each other and we're catching collars on the way down. That's the biggest thing is the over tightening collars. So you might be able to explain this a little better than I can because I did a little bit on the drilling side, but not really. What happens when you over tighten the collar? Can you explain that for them? How that works while we're catching that?
I've seen it before, and I've heard of it before. Like if you're running like torque rings, so
Mm.
on a lot of
Mm.
your connections, if you run torque rings in there, like you're essentially, if you don't want to run like a modified buttress connection, you can put torque rings in between these BTC connections, and it's supposed to give you better sealability, higher torque ratings, and all that, so that you can get it down to bottom. But if you over torque those, or if a lot of times too, I've seen that those torque rings, if they're not made out of P110 material, which is the same as what the casing is, they're weaker, and so whenever it starts seeing all that torque, it can kind of mushroom out and get into the ID of your casing and do exactly what you're saying, prevent plugs from going down and doing all of that. And so, whenever you over torque those, I mean, essentially what it is that, it's pushing that material beyond its limits, and it's just, it's expanding out into the idea of your wellbore. It's just going wherever it can, and definitely causes problems. I've heard of operators having to go down and drill out
Yeah.
tens of those, which is a huge problem. So I think also too, a lot of the wells that I've been drilling lately are 7-inch by 4.5. So we don't run like long strings. So, if you over tighten the 7-inch connection, but you guys are out there fracking down 4.5, even if that did happen, I don't think that you guys would ever see it.
No,
We've got too
on
much
that,
in.
coming from the 7 to the 4.5, all the issues that I have seen has been, the toe sleeve has either been kind of, messed up a little bit or something like that. And it's kind of hard to get into it. And then it turns into pain in the ass, but we get through it. But yeah, I've
We
seen it to
had
where, like, when they over tighten them, they have to get a cool unit out there with a drill bit and sit there and just ream it out and then go to the next one, ream that one out. And it's a week long event that shouldn't even happened.
I was joking earlier. I mean, I've heard of that happening, but I really haven't experienced it on one of our
Yeah.
wells.
I mean, it ain't a everyday thing or like a every well thing for us, but it's definitely an issue that we run into more than we want to.
Yep, I'm with you.
Because
Well,
when
when
you're
you do,
talking
it's
about when you're talking about putting a plug that barely has enough room to just pick up just a little bit, when you're starting to catch stuff on the side of that casing, it definitely hinders it.
yep, yeah, because you're talking about thousandths of an inch.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. That's always been something that's amazed me about kind of what we do in the industry is the tolerance is so tight, and how a couple thousandths of an inch can make such a huge difference between
Well, yeah.
success and absolute failure.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, that's kind of what I've been taught my whole oilfield career is just you got to make sure you're right on the dot because if you're not, it can be catastrophic.
Yep, and if you put it down whole, it's probably too late.
Yeah, if it goes downhole, yeah, you're screwed.
That is impressive because as somebody that's, only been looking at this for like the past 5 years, you start and you're just looking at it like it just seems like there's so much brute force that goes into everything. And then you start talking details and it's incredible how it's like, yeah, we gotta get this thing drilled, but it's gotta be perfect,
Mhm.
it blows my mind. So
Yeah, it's definitely an eye opener for the guys on the outside. They see us throwing wrenches, throwing, chains, tongs, and everything else in the world, and then it really comes down to just the smallest little detail. If you forget one screw on a whole entire gun string, that can mean, everything just falls apart.
Yep.
hmm,
Plugs
okay.
preset, all the different problems.
Yeah, the plugs could preset. I mean, you could if you screw up on your setting tool, and for some reason, like the oil based setting tools, if something happens there, that could go off and start, setting going down hole. It could just there's a lot of details where you have to make sure you do it right. That's why a lot of companies are big on you start taking pictures on everything you do, every screw you put in, every piece of tape you put in, every bolt you tighten, you take a picture. I mean, it's starting to get to be that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought about that. Taking pictures and videos of everything just to see where, what quality control, right? And
Yeah,
I'm sure feels a little overbearing at times. I can imagine, but at
it
the end of the day,
does.
it probably gets better results.
Yeah, it's like an insurance, pretty much.
Yeah,
It covers
gotcha.
your butt to make sure nothing happens.
Okay, very cool, awesome. Well, yeah, I think we're, I don't want to take too much time, Colby. I think I told you 15 minutes, and here we are at 30. So hopefully
I
you're all
mean,
right.
Dang, that was
oh
quick.
yeah,
I know, right?
I ain't got nothing going.
I
As
know the
our first
feeling, man.
inter, as our first interview, how do you feel? How did it go?
I think it went great.
All right, me too. I think so.
I
This
think
has been
it.
awesome.
I think it went pretty smoothly.
My
Perfect.
favorite thing's sit around and talk shop.
Oh, 100%. And that's all the industry is. I mean, at that point, is you sit around and just BS the whole time and maybe go press some buttons and throw some stuff, but that's about it.
Love it.
The best thing in the world is to walk around with the biggest pipe wrench or the biggest hammer you can find and just look pissed off, and nobody will ever bother you.
That's great. Oh man, the insights I wasn't expecting. Well, hey Colby, thank you so much. DM me your address or text me your address. I gotta send some stuff to you. Wade, I owe you. I think the same thing. I've been promising it for weeks and weeks, but I'll send it out. I'll send it out with Colby. So,
I
anyways,
appreciate it.
yeah, Colby, thanks, man. Wade and
Yeah,
I
if
are
y'all
gonna.
ever want to come down here, just let me know. I'll show y'all around and I'll take you out to a frac site and I'll show y'all around out there.
Hey, Whataburger's pretty solid too.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Hey, that's what we got to get Peter on from being up there in, all California.
That's
We got
right.
to get, and do not be comparing In and Out to Waterbury.
I'm trying to remember what my favorite. Is it the spicy Southwest? You know how they always bring the hamburgers on and off the menu. They
Yeah.
alternate those four. That spicy Southwest is, oh my gosh, it's one of my
Mine's
favorites.
the patty melt. Patty melt with a little bit of jalapenos on it. I mean, it hits just
Well, I hadn't thought
right.
about adding the jalapenos.
Yeah,
I
it
bet
hits
you that
just
would be
right.
good.
On the California thing, definitely started. They started migrating from Texas, going up to Tennessee. I was up there working for a little bit on a pad, and they said they started moving from Texas up to Tennessee up there in Knoxville area. I was like, good,
Mhm.
keep going
Yep.
west, whatever direction that is.
Yeah, no, I get it 100%. My wife, she's a professional surfer, so she, grew up surfing for like Quicksilver and all that, and so
Wait,
tough to
what?
get her to move away. You didn't know that, Wade? Yeah. So I married way up, way up.
Yeah,
So that,
the Gulf of Mexico. Oh, let me rephrase this. Gulf of America don't have
there you
Yes,
go.
that great waves.
yeah, Gulf of America. Yeah, the
I'm
tanker
still not
surfing
used to
Gulf of
saying
America.
that.
That's right.
It's weird. I'm starting to see it on contracts though that I'm reviewing, like contracts and MSAs and things that come through. Like they're actually making the change pretty quick, which is cool. So I
That's
didn't think it'd be
that's what
real, but
I
it's
want to
fun.
get into is the offshore side of stuff. I want to learn a little more on that end and
Mhm.
go venture out there. I need to find me somebody that'll let me come hop on a boat and see how they
Or a
do stuff.
helicopter.
Yeah, let me hop on a helicopter real quick.
That's right.
Yeah, I know a couple folks that are out that way. So Colby, if you ever need an introduction or want to talk to somebody, let me know. I'm sure you're well connected as well, but one of my
Not on that
colleagues.
end, not on that end.
Okay.
I'm not.
Yeah, one of my colleagues does. It's all offshore, so that's his focus, and so he's, I mean, really well qualified there. So if you ever want an introduction, let me know, and I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great because that's something I want to learn. Learn better about, and even work out there and do a couple hitches out there and that'd be cool for me.